Well, it was good to get off site today and move out of our facilities for the second scrimmage. It was a simulation of an away game, getting out of our facilities for our meetings and in terms of leading up to the game. We used the Sky Center as a makeshift hotel, not literally staying overnight, but how we would operate within the ballrooms at the hotel we were staying at. So it's good. I mean, to get the team, to get the staff and everybody in operation to be able to handle ourselves on the road and be able to operate and not flinch. So it was actually kind of fun to be able to do that. It's cool to see our staff pick up and move shop over to Donna Larson, and very thankful for Justin and the softball team for letting us use their facilities over there. It was great. And then when we got into it, today was really about in the second scrimmage, seeing how much more efficient we can be with the operations. We spent 2.5 weeks really working on, basically A through Z in terms of football situations, our philosophies and our schemes that are going to go along within those situations. And it was fun to see the guys put it together, and really, too, from the older guys all the way down, from the guys that run with the ones group all the way down to the threes, and being able to see the freshmen actually run through some of these scenarios and not just run plays, but operate and execute. They're doing a much better job. We hit all the field zones today. We played, all the special teams were in. It was good to see it all mixed together. Had some, the offense started off. We scored a couple touchdowns in the first couple drives, and the defense really stepped up and regained some momentum there and played really tight, for the majority of the scrimmage there, moving through. And we had some good 2-minute scenarios as well. It was awesome to see at the end of the scrimmage, Wyatt hit a field goal with 3 seconds left on the clock with the orange group, which was great to see. I mean, today Jonah did an awesome job. Jonah hit from 42, 51, and 36 today, 3 for 3. So just being able to see the snap, hold, kick, and the protection operation, it all come together and putting some heat, on those protections. Again, it went back and forth today. The quarterbacks, the one thing, TG was 72% today. Did some really good things in terms of getting the ball out and hitting a couple explosive plays, early on in the scrimmage. And Mad Dog did a really nice job. He was 75% today as well, and had a touchdown. And we still gave up a few sacks there, so we're working to continue to handle our protections and make sure that we're getting squared away there. And CJ, threw for 50% today, but did some really nice things. Had a long. He had a long explosive play of 43 yards. So it's good to see the quarterbacks creating, operating the offense, creating, moving the offenses down the field. And now obviously it's just going to come down to the consistency and being dialed in as we move forward after scrimmage number 2, more into opponents and starting to prepare for the season and get some different looks, opposed to just getting the looks that we give ourselves. It was awesome to see. We had a couple interceptions today too. I mean, Marco had a big time play. It's awesome to see what Marco's doing out there coming back this year. After getting hurt last year, we're really excited about what he's doing. The linebacker core today did a really nice job. There were a bunch of guys that were getting the mix in, and Marco had an interception, but a lot of the guys were very productive in the run game. Did a nice job in their coverages and their ability to pressure the quarterback. Felt like both line of scrimmages did a pretty good job. I mean, the offense ran the ball for 140-something yards today. The thing that you want to see is the physicality and the consistency. You don't want to see sloppiness at the line of scrimmage, obviously, when your team is playing each other. And it was awesome to see that today. You got guys out there coming off the ball, playing fast, playing a great pad level, staying on their feet. And that's great progress, right, from where we started 2.5 weeks ago. So there's a lot of good things. There was a lot of great things that we saw today, but obviously we get a day here tomorrow being to be able to self-scout ourselves, look at all the things that we've done in fall camp, create a plan for all the situations, whether it be down and distance situations, field zone situations, clock situations, and be able to self-scout ourselves as we move forward. Actually, before we move forward into opponent scout, and really that is the next to do on the list here. And, as we move into starting school on Monday, work out of camp, and then prior to moving into opponent scout in the middle of next week.
You mentioned last scrimmage you didn't give Ashton and George a ton of work. You mentioned you ran the ball well today. But a similar thing, or did those guys get more action?
No, they got more today. They got more work today, and yeah, I mean, obviously those guys they make things happen, and you know, they didn't get maybe as much work as the other guys, but you know, they did a nice job with the opportunities they got. George, you know, had 6 carries today. Ashton, you know, had 3 carries, and also was productive, you know, in special teams. Both those guys play a lot of special teams for us too, because we want the ball to be in their hands. So it was good to see them get work, you know, in the first half of the scrimmage today, and they did a really nice job.
Where do you think Green has developed the most from last year? If you looked at him just in the scrimmage today, what do you see today that you didn't see last year?
Well, number one, I mean, he was 72% today. You know, I mean, that's pretty impressive. His command, his confidence. Confidence is a crazy thing. Like, everybody wants confidence, but you got to earn it. You got to work for it. You know, it comes from being competent and doing what you're doing, and not just him operating the offense, but leading everybody within that too. And it's been cool to see him do it in his own way. Him be a good leader on the field, the way he prepares. He has a great understanding of not that he's got it totally everything figured out, but he's got a great feel for what his preparation process looks like, and he's extremely consistent with it, and it's shown to help him be you know, productive and really expand in the areas where we've looked to, you know, in the drop back pass game and things like that.
I think they're 15, 16 days into fall camp. When you scrimmage, does it lift the spirits of everybody, you know, for an afternoon, getting to turn it loose? It
was fun today. I mean, obviously, probably, again, moving the scene a little bit, right, instead of being on the same 2 fields, you know, for a little over 2 weeks, you know, is fun for everybody. But the guys brought great energy, too. Whether it was on the sidelines and some of the situations we had, the 2-minute situations, I mean, the guys were getting into it, and that was good to see. You know, what's really cool too is just being on the sideline and listening to the guys communicate the situational football that's going on the field. That's because it's not loud out there, right? It's an empty stadium. It's us. We're not playing music. It's us. So you can hear everything. You can hear everybody communicating, which isn't typical. You know, when we play normally, you're in a packed house and you can't hear anything, but it's actually fun to be able to listen to our guys communicate and talk about the situations on the sideline, as well as have a little fun with each other and the things they say to each other.
Now having a chance to see them in a scrimmage twice, is there any position group that's really exceeded your expectations?
You know, that would be one. It'd be hard to single out one of them, because I honestly, like, I can't tell you one position group that hasn't grown from spring ball. And I'm not just saying that like yeah, we're not there yet, but I can't tell you one position group that hasn't made tremendous strides. You know, whether that's, again, the game starts up front. The D-line looks different, the O-line looks different, which that's a great start, right? The wide receivers, I mean, with the standard that is expected, the mentality they're expected to play with, the intent they're expected to play with, it's been awesome to see, and how that's coming together with, you know, TG and the rest of the quarterbacks. It's fun. You know, the tight ends are probably the steady group that grows the most. I mean, Coach Potter does an unbelievable job with those guys, and they're all smart, and they're all, you know, they're the typical Boise State blue collar tough. They're gonna study, they're gonna outwork, and you know, and on the defense side of the ball, again, I mean, the defensive front has grown. You know, when you start to mix in the veterans that have played a lot of football with, whether it be the younger guys or some of the transfers that we've brought in here, they're working really well together, and they understand what the standard is, and they know it's not easy, and it takes a tremendous amount of work to meet that standard each and every day, and that's cool to see that, you know, they're pushing along to go all in on it.
To be, you know, 2 weeks from right now, just finishing up, you know, the game and have school starting, I assume now you kind of start to turn the attention a little towards Washington. I mean, just what's the feeling like, I guess, starting to actually have an opponent to really dial in on now, and know that that's not it's a number 10 team in the country is waiting for you.
Right. So again, one of the biggest steps before we move into that stuff is self-scouting ourselves. Going back through, it's shown to be really helpful and beneficial. Like, when we look at how are we going to get better as a program, what are the certain things that we can do to give us, you know, that 2% of progress that we're looking for. This is one piece right now that we can't skip. You know, in the next, you know, really in the next 24 hours, 36 hours, we are going to spend a lot of time on South Scout and really diving into that, and We can't turn the page before we know exactly the certain areas of where we're efficient, how efficient we are, and what the plan is to become even more efficient from the very basic things that we're going to do, from structural philosophy into the meeting room to the practice field, to give our guys a chance to even improve the confidence in what we're doing. And so obviously, yeah, it's going to be, it's not like the NFL where you get to have some preseason games, some practice games, even some inter-squad, or excuse me, not inter-squad, but joint practices and things like that. It's not like that. So as you guys can imagine, the boys get a little restless with each other. So I would say that they're pretty excited to, turn the page here and be able to move on.
Anything that you were, when the scrimmage finished, that you were more excited about than you were before it started?
You know what, it was, this scrimmage was physical. And again, like I spoke about the line of scrimmage, I mean, these guys are starting to understand like how to play, fast, how to play explosive, how to play physical, but to play with great body control. I mean, there was some really good tackling. There was some really good ball carriers that were making moves in the open field, but also running physical. It was awesome to see. Again, there was plenty of explosive plays through the air, which is fun to see, the timing in the pass game. And, you can draw from each phase of the game. Again, we shared about, how we did with our place kicking today and being 4 for 4 and in some of those critical 2-minute situations. I think there's I love where we're at right now. We're not there. We're not game ready in terms of being in mental and physical shape, but we showed great progress today because we worked hard this week. Coming out of the first scrimmage, we didn't finish the first scrimmage well enough. We got mentally fatigued, and we didn't finish the end of the last scrimmage very well. And the guys sustained, all the way through this scrimmage, and that's what I'm most proud of. But we're not done with that yet, because it's very hard to simulate 3 hours and 15 minutes of being mentally on and being physically elite. We don't get to practice for that long. And so when we do get to be out there for 2 hours and 15 minutes, those 2 hours and 15 minutes got to be on point. Otherwise, you're not going to have that mental endurance you need to play a full game. And so it's good to see that we made strides with that today.
Andy, as much as you can say, when we talked to Taylor this week, and Bush for that matter as well, Taylor said, Bush doesn't want him to be a robot out there. Obviously, he wants to stay within the framework of what Bush wants to accomplish on offense, but he doesn't want him to be a robot. How do you see Taylor walking that line so far at practice or even in the scrimmage?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, we don't want anybody to be a robot out there. You can't play that. You can't play the game like that. You can't. But you have to play the game as we were talking about. I mean, there's a certain level of mental discipline that it takes, obviously, that creates the physical performance, and it takes the competence and the preparation so you can cut it loose and not have to worry about playing like a robot, this, but be able to play free and flow because of how you prepared in its reactions, its instincts. It's not thinking too much. But that's every position, right? That is every single position along the board. I think what has been awesome to see is the gradual growth, the process of how Bush has put things in terms of the offensive structure, how he's developed the quarterbacks and organized those things around him. And, I'm fortunate enough to be in the backfield all the time in between plays and listening to their interactions, and it is consistent. The way Bush coaches them is extremely consistent. And it's awesome to be able to see how these guys are growing and developing and moving forward. And again, not just TG, but the other guys too.
In terms of position battles and stuff, I know it's now about the time some of these get decided, right? I mean, I don't know how you guys do that. But I know corner was one people were interested in. You got Markel coming back, and he's started more than all those guys. And Jalen, I mean, how's the cornerback battle looking? Yeah,
I mean, the cool part about it is they're all going to play, and whoever goes out there and starts first, I mean, the reality of it is they're all going to play. Being able to, Markel's done this is probably one of Markel's best practices today, let alone scrimmage. He had a few nice tackles today too, playing physical. But there's still it's like the running back position. It's awesome not to just have one, not to just have two, but to have multiple guys. And so also what goes along with that is the opportunity to use guys in other packages as well, so they're going to play a lot.
Would you be willing to tell us a little bit more about the 2 early touchdowns and who had the other interception?
The third interception was Bowen, one of our young safeties. He actually caught it in the end zone too, probably like 3 yards deep in the end zone. It was an awesome play. Stepped in front of a route breaking towards the front pylon and made a really nice catch because the ball was low. And then we talked about Marco, and then the first touchdown. I can't go into specifics because there was it was actually a really cool touchdown, but I can't talk a lot about that one. But again, it was on the first drive. The first drive scored a touchdown there. The Orange scored a touchdown like on the second drive. And we're able to move the ball, but I'll tell you, like, it slowed down pretty quick. It was awesome to see the defense regain some momentum. And again, that's what you want to see for it to go back and forth. Whether they're scoring, whether they're moving the ball, whether they're stopping them. Really cool to see us, you asked about the first scrimmage of this, and really cool to see us cut down on the penalties too. That's what I'm talking about, like the mental endurance and being able to play a certain way and not get sloppy with it. We cut down on penalties today. So.
You mentioned no preseason game, no trip before the first game up there to Seattle. So what is the day like today, where I know it's not even close to what it's going to be like getting on a plane and going up there, but just having guys get off the bus, have to do all that stuff, have the meetings, how it may seem kind of funny to fans or whatever, but how much does that stuff matter to get something like that under your belt before the first game?
Yeah, I mean, when you got 140 people operating in a tight window and you're moving around, like the organization and the flow of everything, it's got to be on point. To be honest with you, for the preparation of the players, there's a certain process set into place that will help them be successful. And we get, we're blessed with the opportunity to always keep that consistent, whether we're here or whether we're on the road, and creating a window for that process to take place so that the players can be their best. And we're fortunate enough, we got really cool staff that did an unbelievable job. Our facilities people today did an unbelievable job helping us upstairs, and then helping us at Donna Larson to create a locker room over there in our softball facilities. And so, it's getting used to the pregame, right? Like, things that you don't think are a big deal, but guys got to get themselves in rhythm, ready to play the game. You don't just like roll the ball out there and here we go and get after it. Like, guys got to understand what the process looks like. So today was the first day that we did go through the whole pregame, just like we would on a normal day, so that when the day comes, guys are operating. They're able to get in their space, get into the rhythm they need to be in to be their best.
What will you learn about this that you don't know now by watching the tape? What will you spot or see, you think?
When you said, what do I don't know now?
Yeah, I mean, like, you watch the scrimmage live. When you go back on the tape, what are the kind of things you will learn from watching it, where you can stop it before it?
Yeah, so I mean, the reality is, like, we're able to watch it and see it out there and write notes. I'm not calling plays, so I could write the notes as we're going. I don't have to worry about those. I got to make the situational calls and manage the game that way. But when you get to turning on the film, you get to see the fine detail of alignments. Did a guy cheat his alignment? Did a guy line up properly? Is the wide receiver lined up where he's supposed to be? How was the communication? Some of the things that got messed up out there, like, we're working to fix them before we even get into the film room. So is there a lot of things that should catch us? There should be nothing that catches us by surprise when we turn on the film. That's the expectation, for us as coaches, is that, we're playing the game with our eyes too, and being able to see everything in real time. It's not for us here that we're going to wait till after the game to be able to figure out what happened, in most instances. But, when we go back and we look at these things, it's really about the fine detail. Is this guy getting it in terms of the, if there's a backfield cheat? Is there a safety rotation that, we saw someone in protection point out, all those little details that really make the big picture, happen.
More of a fun one.
I love the fun ones.
Yeah, we talked to Rodney this week.
Yes.
Rodney dances a lot of practice. He says that it, kind of helps him have energy, and if he sees somebody doing it, then it might, be infectious or whatever. What do you think of the vibe or the energy that Rodney brings to practice?
Yeah.
Even if it means dancing sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a time and place for everything, right? And I want to see Rodney make some big time plays, and then he can dance over on our sideline. once he gets there. I mean, that's the fun of the game, especially right now when you're in the dog days of summer. Again, we've talked about where we're at in camp and the grind of it and all that, but you got to be able to have fun, but also you got to be able to build the real habits that are going to help you when the lights come on and you're in a packed house on national TV and be able to operate. But there's one thing to have the camaraderie, to feed off each other. Again, to me, it always comes down to that real confidence, and that real confidence is earned, and that's competence, and being able to handle yourself out there and do your 111th and do the best at whatever your responsibility and role is.
We were talking to T. Crow yesterday. He was talking about his, when he was coming out of high school, being recruited, he was told, he's too short to play linebacker, too slow to play running back. So in your opinion as a coach, what is his talents at running back that makes him so effective there?
Well, number one, he has unbelievable vision, and the way he runs the ball, his functional movements, he's got a low center of gravity, so he runs with a great pad level. He's extremely strong. Like pound for pound in the weight room, he's one of the strongest guys. And you combine that with his vision, it's allowed him to be successful. Obviously, that has allowed him to be extremely successful on special teams, where the majority of the time you're playing in space, you're, playing using fundamentals and techniques from both sides of the ball, whether it's blocking, tackling. He can do all those things, and that's why he's been such a good special teams player, probably because of his work and playing offense and defense in high school. And he's the biggest part about it is his spirit. He loves to play the game, and he's a really smart football player.
Do you see that chip on his shoulder still, or?
That hasn't gone away. Yeah, that hasn't gone away. He's consistent. You can count on him to do work every single time we step between the paint and bring other guys along with him.
Anything else?
I want to mention Noe.
What's that? Yeah.
Noe, obviously, I know you have connections to the island as well. It's obviously
Yeah.
been a tough week for Noe. I mean, how have you seen him kind of handle all that?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a really tragic event. Obviously, words can't go into, what has occurred on Maui, and the more and more you go into it, it's really hard. It's really hard. You feel for the people there. You feel obviously for the people and the families, the young children that are not only the young children, but all the families that are left in a tough spot. And that, I would encourage people, to help provide the resources that they need out there to get through this. And the same, I mean, for our players and our friends and our families out there, obviously our prayers and our blessings are going out to all those guys. It's not easy, especially guys like Nohe that are this far away from home, and things like that happen. So